Well, surprise, surprise, there's more Jalen Hurts criticism, but I'll tell you why you shouldn't be concerned. Plus, which new wide receiver 3 seems like the perfect fit for Kellen Moore? And while the Eagles will likely cut Kevin Byard, a couple more safeties hit the market. Could they be worth a look? And Howie Roseman is changing his stance on linebackers, so which free agent target is he willing to spend significant money on? But first, let's run it. Hey guys, this is crazy and really hard to believe, but today marks the 1-year point since starting the channel. So if you want to go ahead and drop a like for today's video, I would really appreciate it. Now, on the flip side, I don't blame you if you dislike Craig Carton's comments about the Eagles and what caused the collapse.
I can tell you that it is a problem that would splinter any group of men. Any group of men. It is a real significant problem.
Yeah,
and
I know
it cannot be fixed. I will tell you that.
It's what we do. Money we the live. No, women. Oh,
so, I'm not going to say any more than that, but I know what the problem was. I know they're trying to fix it, and I don't think it can be fixed. So it would be very interesting to see if a high-profile player is no longer with the Eagles going into this season. And by the way, maybe he will be.
Come on, man. This dude's just talking to talk. If you know something, why not break the news? I mean, it'd be like me saying to you, hey, guess what? I know the lottery numbers, but come back on tomorrow's video whenever I release what they actually were. Plus, let's remember, Carton doesn't have the best track record when it comes to telling the truth anyway, which is what Adam Schefter confirmed, saying he texted someone in the organization yesterday, and the text he got back was, none of that S happened. Okay, sure, even if something did happen, no one's probably going to talk about it or mention anything. However, it feels like more of a look at me type of comment.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
While we're on the topic of rumors, the much more believable rumor is that the Eagles will play the Browns in Brazil, with Peter King feeling good about that one. And I feel pretty good about that one too, especially taking a look at the potential opponents at home. You knew it wasn't going to be a divisional matchup and probably not a bigger marquee matchup anyway. Obviously, it's not official, but I can guarantee y'all I'll be at the link for the Packers game whenever they end up deciding the official date, and probably going to give away some tickets for that one. But curious, of the remaining games at home, which one should I give away tickets to when they release the official schedule? Let me know in the comments. Oh, and while you're headed there, make sure to hit that subscribe button because you gotta be subbed to win the tickets. Which this is kind of ridiculous, but I didn't realize until yesterday that nearly 75% of y'all that watch the channel aren't subscribed, and we're on the road to victory here. So come on, with it being the Philly Special's 1-year anniversary, it would make my day extra special if you want to go ahead and do it. Speaking of special though, the Birds game in Brazil is going to be extra special for backup quarterback Tanner McKee, especially with him doing a mission in Brazil previously, saying several players have already hit him up about showing them around while they're there. Although I've kind of gone back and forth on whether or not McKee's going to end up as QB2, but like John McMullen shared, that's definitely going to tell us a lot about Tanner's potential in this offense based on what they do, because Mariota's not coming back and reports are that he's looking to get back to the West Coast anyway. But which option would you want as QB2? Personally, I really like Jacoby Brissett even last year. However, at $8 million, that may be a little steep. Still, probably my top pick. Or perhaps you convince Joe Flacco to give it another year. I mean, he looked pretty good up until the playoff game. Or what about Josh Dobbs? Maybe he's the answer to slide into the second spot. Realistically though, if I had to guess, I'd lean towards Philly bringing in Easton Stick since he was the backup in LA last season and familiar with what Kellen Moore wants to do. Either way, the more important element to focus on, according to multiple outlets, is Jalen Hurts' decision-making. Because based on the analytics, Jalen threw to his first read on nearly 74% of his passes in 2022, ranking second in the NFL behind Trevor Lawrence. Yet last season, QB1 dropped all the way to 61% of the time throwing to his first read to rank 24th in the league, which only Geno Smith had a bigger drop. But yeah, my initial question was, wait, isn't that a good thing? I mean, it's not entirely bad, but we all know why Jalen didn't throw to his first read near as often. The play calling was awful, and he didn't have near as many easy throws. Like Shane Half pointed out, Devontae Smith was 42nd out of 84 receivers in average separation. A.J. Brown was 71st, and Dallas Goedert was 26th out of 28 tight ends. Again, just another reason Jalen had the second lowest expected completion percentage in the NFL, yet also had the third highest completion percentage over expectation. But leave it to Hurts hater and public enemy number one, Chris Sims, to pile on.
Jalen Hurts is, I respect a lot about Jalen Hurts, but I think Jalen Hurts is also like the most overrated player in football. All right, that's me. I know I'm wrong. I take a lot of crap about that comment, but you know, it's a he plays quarterback for a team that's an all-star team. Yeah. They have the best O-line in football. It's not even close, right? They got maybe the best duos at receiver in all of football, right? I just think if you put some other quarterbacks in Philly, you put Kyler Murray there, you'd go, damn, Kyler's amazing. Is he the MVP of football?
Look, did Hurts slightly regress? Sure, but everyone who knows and follows Chris Sims knows he has a personal vendetta out for Jalen Hurts. Seriously, anytime there's even a crack of QB1 playing poorly, he's like that spam caller who won't ever go away. Which brings up a great time to mention Aura, the sponsor of today's video, because they can help you remove the annoying Chris Simses of your life, as well as just protect your identity in general. You know how they say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? Well, not exactly when you lose your wallet with your ID and social security card on a city bus. Yeah, that happened to me the last time I was on the trip. Unfortunately, the story doesn't end there though, because several months later, I became the victim of identity theft. And if anyone's dealt with that, you know how big of a pain that is. And to put it into context for those who haven't, it's worse than watching screen passes on 3rd and 20. But really, my biggest regret is that I didn't find Aura sooner. Since instead of wasting my time on hours of phone calls and research, Aura would have identified data brokers exposing my information and submit opt-out requests for me. They also do so much more to protect me and my family from online threats I can't see. And it's really easy to set up so you don't have to download several different apps to get things like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, identity theft insurance, and more. You get everything at one affordable price. The best part is I don't have to do anything or think about it. And seriously, who wants to? Let these guys do the work for you and make sure no one is exploiting or stealing your personal information. Go to aura.com/thephillyspecial to start your 2-week free trial, and I've also got a link in the description for those that are interested. Now, on the topic of identity, apparently Joe DeCamara agrees with Sims, saying we overrated Hurts. And in an attempt to remain balanced, it's worth pointing out that a team source didn't fully discredit that notion either, particularly when asked about the first read throws, saying I wouldn't say defenses were taking away that first read consistently. AJ, Smitty, and Dallas are too talented for that, but I think some did a nice job throwing some different looks at us, which created some doubt and hesitation. But there were plays to be made, and we left too many of them on the field. Again, I'm not worried about Jalen, even though, yes, I'm sure he was distracted. I mean, heck, look at all the commercials that he did and the endorsements and advertisements, as well as, I mean, yeah, he got a $255 million deal. But I don't blame him for striking while the iron's hot. Yet, like another team executive said, Jalen's a creature of habit, and after being pulled in a million different directions, he understands it's time to get back to business. But not too much business, right? You know, since the team personnel wasn't exactly pleased with one being too serious last season.
All work and no play makes Michael a dull boy.
Look, I'm just saying, it's like Jalen can't win with these dudes. The good news is he can win with Kellen Moore. And let's not forget, CeeDee Lamb said the Eagles wideouts are going to love playing for Moore, while Devontae Smith admitted being really excited to play in his system because he can actually scheme open receivers, which is why the question of wide receiver 3 is also a lot more important for the Birds than past years. Now, I know Philly has been linked to the likes of Tyler Boyd in Cincinnati, and even the speculation of Calvin Ridley recently for the third option, but come on, let's be realistic. Look, wide receiver 3 isn't on this roster, but you're not paying someone $8+ million to catch 30 to 40 passes, and it's still going to be AJ, Smitty, and Goddard first. However, if you want a guy who's certainly an upgrade over Quez, okay, I know that's not saying much, but you don't have to break the bank, and he has connections with the OC, then I'd look at Noah Brown. I mean, he's coming off a season where he had 33 catches for 567 yards and 2 touchdowns with Houston, and in 2022, he had 43 catches for 555 yards and 3 TDs with Dallas. Of course, another option is Kendrick Bourne from New England, since he and Brown would most likely both be around the $4 to $5 million range. Although maybe I'm wrong, and Howie decides to spend more on a wide receiver 3 and get another speedster to replace Quez like Chicago's Darnell Mooney. Mooney would definitely be an upgrade, and had a couple really strong seasons in Chicago before stalling a bit recently. But like Jimmy Kimsky referenced, he's got inside-out versatility, having played 919 snaps in the slot and a little over 1,000 outside. Plus, he turns 27 in October. Yet again, it feels like that's much more than how he would spend at $10 million per year. I don't know, maybe you save elsewhere in order to spend that type of money, like cutting Kevin Byard, for example, which is where NFL.com analyst Nick Shook says is likely the first place the Eagles start, since letting go of the former All-Pro would save $13.3 million in cap space and allow you to reinvest somewhere else. To me, this seems like a no-brainer, because like Jake Rabati shared, his Eagles stats in 10 games were 32 of 38 passes allowed, 84.2% completion, 321 yards allowed, 2 touchdowns with 1 interception, 1 pass breakup, and a 108.4 passer rating allowed. Okay, clearly not great in coverage, and we all saw that, but he did grade out decent, or at least above average in terms of tackling, so maybe you find a cheaper deal and work something out. But look, my argument is if you actually want to stick with an older vet, you'd probably get about the same production for a similar cost and a guy that's familiar with Fangio's defense in Eddie Jackson, so maybe just go that route. There's also Tracy Walker, who the Lions released in terms of recent veteran safeties. Or staying in the NFC North, Darnell Savage is out of Green Bay, and as a former first rounder and Dak nemesis, plus having played in Joe Barry's system, who's a Fangio disciple, that's more than enough of a reason to consider him. But curious, who's y'all's first choice to replace Byard, or do you just keep the 30-year-old? However, the best news of the day and maybe week or month is that Howie Roseman is changing his stance on linebacker. After a report from the Liberty Line who spoke with sources close to the GM said it's safe to assume there will be a change in philosophy once again. The Philadelphia Eagles defense will look different in 2024, not just in coaching and schematics department, but the personnel department as well. And with a Fangio defense relying on linebackers who are fast, athletic, and can cover, the feeling internally is that the Eagles currently have 0 linebackers who fit the bill on the roster. But a source is predicting that Howie Roseman will pour a significant amount of resources into the position compared to last season. Wow, okay, I mean, I love hearing that, especially the 0 linebackers part, because that really tells me if he's spending significant resources and there's 0 linebackers, that's a huge splash coming. So then the question becomes, who are we talking about as far as those significant resources? Perhaps a major acquisition in Patrick Queen or Azeez Shaair from Tennessee, who's already been linked to Philly. Oh yeah, and Andrew Van Ginkel feels like a lock waiting to happen, but I don't think significant resources means just signing him. Another name I definitely think is worth keeping an eye on and could fall in this category is Frankie Luvu. But who are y'all leaning toward after this report? Not gonna lie, this is a pretty big about face for Howie considering what he said at his end of season presser.
I feel like we've had a long history of success here, building a team a certain way. And I think maybe there's some preconceived notions that, we're just at the linebacker position, that we don't care who we play at linebacker. And again, our 2 Super Bowl teams over the last 6 years, the linebacker play was good, from those guys. And I think, if anything, it's my belief in the players that we have, the young players that we have. I have a lot of belief, and I know Coach does as well, in Nakobe Dean, and so I believe in the player, I believe in the person. We lost 2 linebackers at that spot, 2 good players from our Super Bowl team. And we had Nakobe wait in the wings. We drafted him for that role. Obviously, it didn't work out perfectly for him this year. That doesn't change the belief we have in the player. And then, we felt like we'd have the ability to get an off-ball linebacker, a will linebacker who can run and hit. And honestly, when you watch the tape, Zach Cunningham had a good year. He really did. And he had a mentality that we like from that position.
Okay, you know what? At least he's willing to change. I mean, the best people are able to recognize their faults and then admit it. And heck, you got your defensive coordinator, so give him all the pieces to be successful. All right, also really quickly to the signings recently with the Eagles adding 49ers running back Tyrion Ty Davis Price to the biggest and best future contract in the league, which feels a bit like posturing by his agency. However, that probably means there was little competition for the 6'1", 220-pound running back. And it's interesting to say the least since TDP was a 3rd-round pick in 2022 by San Fran out of LSU, being described by Lance Zierlein as something of an enigma, featuring urgency, indecisiveness, physicality, and finesse on any given carry, which, doesn't exactly make me feel great. Oh yeah, and also saying motivation is sometimes left in question for the 23-year-old.
The thing is, Bob, it's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
Don't care?
Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe that's why as a rookie in 22, TDP logged 34 carries for 99 yards with a paltry 2.9 yards per carry average. And then followed that up this past season with 6 rushes for 21 yards behind a 3.5 average. Obviously, it's a small sample size, and he's said to be a runner who gets better and better with a higher volume, but to me, this feels like a Trey Sermon 2.0. But the idea that this is somehow affecting DeAndre Swift's outlook or that Howie isn't looking into still adding someone for an RB1 is kind of ridiculous. I mean, yes, I know that Howie thinks that he's hit on everything, and it was good that he passed on Miles Sanders. Does he look at that, though, and say, oh, you know what, I got lucky there or got fortunate maybe in my eyes. It wasn't luck in terms of his, but he says, I can go out and get someone else. I can make a trade like I did for DeAndre Swift. Possibly so, but in my mind, there's no way that he says TDP, yep, signed you, got you, that's my RB1. Now, the other signing that happened and kind of got overshadowed by the new running back was Chiefs offensive tackle Darian Kinnard, who was a 5th-round pick in 2022, but didn't start and was only active for 3 games. And then last season, Kinnard failed to make the 53-man roster, but was signed to the practice squad. And it makes some sense with his signing with Jack Driscoll potentially leaving in free agency, and the fact that Kinnard has inside-out versatility as well. But again, like TDP, it feels like more of a depth signing than anything else. All right, reminder about the Member Stream Zoom call, which will be this Friday for anyone in the Hungry Dog or Breed of One membership levels. And I sent out a message on the community page with more details. By the way, not too late to get a membership if you still want to join. Or heck, we're still going to have the Friday Night Hangout. But thank y'all again. This first year has been unbelievable, and we're just getting started. This has been the Philly Special.